Hi everyone, it's Iggy from Iggy Creates, back with part 3 of my modding series. If you haven't watched the first 2 videos, please go back and do so, because we're building on those basic fundamentals. If you're not a modder, feel free to comment below on what kind of mods you want to see. In today's video, we're taking things much further. What if you wanted a model from the game that normally doesn't exist as an item? If you saw in the thumbnail, Doom Desire from Twitter used the mangroves and lily pads from the museum and placed them in the water outside. So today I will teach you how to do something similar. You'll probably have to watch this video a couple times because it's difficult until you keep practicing. Don't give up. You'll run into issues, so my best suggestion is to redo the file until it works. We have a modding help section on our Discord too, so we can help out if your file is not working. Anyway, the first thing to do is define the museum model, since we know the mangroves are in there. In this case, I know that these mangroves exist in the insect area of the museum, so let's go find that. Here's my ROM.fs files. Again, it's going to be in the models, but let's just make this faster. I know that it's called IDR Museum Insect, and it's this one right here. So we'll go ahead and open it. So open the file and then open the models, and you're going to see all of these. You can scroll out to make sure that you're in the room, the proper room. So we see the mangroves over there. I suggest you uncheck all of the boxes until you narrow it down to just the model that you want. So that was it right there. So we'll keep that open, uncheck the rest. Okay. Sometimes you get lucky and it's not combined with any other model. But if not, I'll show you how to isolate it with Blender, which is a free 3D modeling app that I will link below. Keep in mind that I don't know anything about 3D modeling and I just figure things out by clicking around, so I hope you can follow me. Once you narrow down the model, export it as a DAE file because this is what's compatible with Blender. So right click, export, change this to DAE, and then save it. Press OK. The next thing you want to do is export all the material files that belongs to this specific object. The material file is basically the container in which the texture file goes into. It tells the game how to make the textures look. So we'll open this up. So under materials, we have 3 materials. So if you look at this, there's 3 objects part of this model. With each object is a matching material. So we want to actually export all of these. So right click the folder, export all materials, and then we'll just put it on a desktop for now. So we've exported the materials. When you do these model swaps, you notice that the model is gray. It's a gray checkerboard and there's no texture in the file. So what you want to do is look at the name of the object you're extracting. In this case, it's mangrove, and it has the mangrove leaf, mangrove trunk, and M water. Those are the 3 parts. Now we need to find the texture that matches them. The texture files we worked with before they were called ALB, the albedo, NRM, normal, and mix. But now we'll have other file types like OP. Just make sure you grab all of them because we'll need it later. So let's go here. So we know that the models came from this area, Museum Insect 0. So all of these are here. You'll see ALB, mix, NRM, OP. Those are the texture files that belong to this bigger room. We know it's called Mangrove, so we're going to keep scrolling down until we see Mangrove. So here it is. We have the Mangrove ALB. We're going to go open that up. It's really time consuming, so open up the texture. Right click, export, put it on a desktop. And you're going to repeat it for the mix for the Mangrove. Now you should kind of be familiar with doing these exports since I showed this in the previous video, so I'm just breezing through them. Okay, so we have albedo, normal, mix, and then here's an OP. This is the first time I've showed you guys OP. It's just another file type. Right click that, Okay, so we have the leaf parts, and now we need the trunk parts. So open this up. Mangrove trunk, ALB. Got the mix right here. Normal. It's a lot of parts to this. I should have done something more simple, but at least you'll know how to do objects that have multiple parts. Okay, so in this case, this only had 3 parts to it. And the last thing was the M water. So we're going to keep going down until we see M water. Okay, here it is. The M water NRM and then M water NRM ORY. Those are the only 2 that belong to the water object. Okay, so we basically exported the materials of this model, and then we found all the textures that go with each part, each material. This is why we got the M water right here. So we have basically, we have most of the things we need to make this work, but the mangroves have to be resized and censored. So this is where Blender comes in. So open Blender. I'm going to start a new file since I don't want to confuse you guys. Alright. First thing you want to do is delete the cube. So at the top right click it, it says cube, and delete. Next, you want to go to File, Import DAE. That's the 3D model type that we exported earlier. So double click that, and we're going to have the model here. So these things right here, you can, they're called armatures. I'm not sure what they are. I think it's just the orientation of it. So we can hide that, that's fine. Now we're just left with the mangrove, but this is the center here. So we have to move this mangrove over. Right now it's all highlighted, but if I click outside of it, you know, you can move each part individually. Oops. On the left is move, so you actually want to click on that. So you have to be careful with this. Make sure that you actually highlight all of them, or else you're only moving parts of it at a time. So the shortcut is press A. You highlight all of it. Make sure you're on the move tool, and we're gonna move this towards the center. Okay, you'll notice that the tree is floating. By the way, I'm moving the program holding down mouse 3 and looking around. If you want to move left and right, hold shift and then move the mouse 3, like click it down and move it left and right, whatever. But you'll notice that it's floating compared to the ground. This is the water right here, so we actually want to move this down. That way, when you put it outside, it'll look proper. So again, make sure you're on move. This blue arrow is so you can bring it down. Okay. Alright, so the other thing that you can do is while it's highlighted, if you press S and let go, you'll have 2 black arrows, and now you can go up and down to resize it, to scale it up and down. Probably want to make it a little bit smaller. So just making it smaller. Now it's off center again, so move it back to the center. So we basically lined up the water area to be at the ground level, so I think that should be okay. Let's move this over to the left a little bit. It might be a little bit higher, but that's fine. It's just demonstration purposes, right? So last thing you want to do is, I'm not sure why, but once it's highlighted, right click it, go to set origin, and do origin to 3D cursor. If you don't do that, it's gonna appear off-centered in toolbox, and I've done so much troubleshooting, but this is what's fixed it for me every time. I don't know why, just do it and save yourself the headache. So at this point, it's pretty much ready. But let's say that you're trying a different object, a different model, and it's connected with other things. you can actually, I'll show you how to isolate even more. So change object mode to edit mode, and you'll see a bunch of black dots called vertices, and that's what makes up the 3D model. What you can do is hold this for a couple seconds and switch to lasso, and then highlight the parts that you don't want, right click it, and then delete vertices. You're gonna have to keep doing that until it's all gone, and then you can go back to object mode and then go about it as normal. That's just if you're like isolating like the snake plant from the airport. It's connected to like some tables and stuff, so keep that in mind. Okay, so we'll leave it as is. I'm just lucky that this showed up as one model. So what you want to do now is file, export. Now you're going to export as a DAE file, and then the name doesn't matter, but you know, be organized. This is the Mangrove. Save it to the desktop. Mangrove.dae. Alright, so we've exported it. This is our modified Mangrove. Okay, hope you guys are still with me. Now we're gonna go back in Toolbox. We need to find a model that we're gonna replace it with all of these files. Again, I choose CJ models because I don't use it for anything else. So if you remember from the previous video, it's FTR, like furniture, fish, and it's gonna be the ones that say toy in it. So in this case, we're gonna use FTR fish, ahi or aji, I'm not sure, toy. That's the horse mackerel. Actually, yeah, sorry, it's the FTR one, not the layout one. Just make sure you don't get those confused. So FTR fish, ahi, toy. Open that. And now the fun begins. So we'll open this up, open that up. This is a horse mackerel. And open up the models. This is the original model, and we're going to be replacing it with the Mangrove model we made in Blender. So right click, replace. There we go. We labeled it Mangrove so know it's easy. Don't worry about these settings, press OK. The main thing here is the select material. Earlier we exported 3 materials that belong to the Mangrove. So it only lets us choose one, so I'll show you how to fix it later. Click here. Now just choose the first one, the mangrove leaf, and then press save. Okay, so this is going to be huge in the game. So before I even show the rest of this, what you can do is if you still have Blender open, you can go back to it. Let's make it smaller. It's going to be a lot of back and forth, and I can already tell it's big because we saw how small the horse mackerel was here earlier, and this is just ginormous. So I've scaled it down a bit. Go File, Export, DAE, and just find the original one that you made and save right over it. So then, this is good that it's happening, so I could show you how to fix it. So you're going to replace again. And then Mangrove, select the material. Okay, in this case, troubleshooting, it didn't change, right? So what probably happened was, well, let's just make it smaller again. Like, make it dramatically smaller. Bring this back up. Make sure that we are aligned with the ground for the most part. Okay. I forgot to right click it and set origin to 3D cursor. So again, we'll export it, overwrite, and then let's go see if it works this time. Replace, Mangrove, okay, select the material. There you go. So I mean, it's slightly moved. You can like really make it much smaller. But that kind of just shows the process of how I fix things without having to start all over. It's going to be huge, but we'll just go with it. Okay, so now that we've replaced the model, we have the 3 different objects here. The leaf, the trunk, and the water. Materials, we've only imported the mangrove leaf material. Even though these say the right words, I would still go in, right click this, replace with a trunk material. And then for the water, replace water material. So now we have the objects in place, materials in place, and then we need to do the textures. These are still the textures for the horse mackerel. So what you can do is click the first one, hold Control, and press delete. Now we're back to the gray checkered board and it needs some textures. So right click the textures, import textures, and these are all the ones that we found earlier in the ROM-FS. So you can hold shift and click on all of them and open it. It does a pretty good job of trying to match it, but that's not the end of it. So back to materials. We have to match them now. So click on the material. This is the mangrove leaf. On the right side are the textures that link to it. We have to relink them to the new textures that we put. So this one says ALB. So double click that. And since we're doing the leaf, make sure you do the leaf ALB. Mangrove leaf OP. Just do it again just to make sure it's working. And NRM. So we have the leaf NRM. And then SPM. I think it's just a mixed one, so it's just the last one that we're missing. So we have those four. So now go to the trunk ALB, that's right. Trunk NRM, that's right. And then trunk mix, that's right. So the trunk kind of did the work for us. The last thing is the water. So actually it did it for us too. That's great. But again, here, water NRM. And water NRM ORY. Alright, so we've successfully linked all the new textures to the materials and fully replaced everything of this horse mackerel model. Alright, so you can look at it, it looks pretty nice. Go to File, Save As, and then we're going to press Save. Compress it with ZSTD, and we're done. Okay, so minimize everything. We're gonna go back to the FTP, transfer the file. Okay. So mine is this one right here. Alright, so find your ROM-FS folder. Contents. Okay, title ID, ROM-FS, model. Drag that in there. In my case, I already have it since I showed it to you in the beginning of the video. But yeah, once you put it in there, reload your game. It's gonna take a bit. The more ROM-FS models you have, the more mods you have on your Switch, it takes quite a bit of time for it to load. So just be patient. Yeah, this is quite a long tutorial. I don't think I'm gonna go edit it and take out the loading times and stuff. Just bear with it. But yeah, once you get the basics of making these model texture swaps, then you can kind of do what I'm doing, where I'm taking models from outside of the game, like the Master Sword and Zelda. and replacing tools in the game. That gets really intense too. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a tutorial on that yet. Yeah, it's pretty difficult. Okay, so let's just go. I don't have much water on my island, so we have to go way to the top right. I'm going to show you guys how to actually place the item in the water, assuming that you guys made the file correctly. I figured a bunch of you guys already have Animal Crossing New Horizons Poker, so I'm not going to go into details how to install it, but I'm just telling you that's what you need. So open up Poker, connect it, go to Map Dropper, fetch map, okay, so I always do re-anchor, so I kind of know where I am. Go up a bit. I think my water is gonna be like around this area, so I'll just click there. Whoops, horse mackerel. It's the model, so click that, click the box you want it, click this. Oops, so make sure you change the flag to 0. 20 is just dropping it as an item, like a leaf. So we don't want that. We want it to be 0 so it actually gets placed. So we put that down, and as soon as you move... Oh, there you go. I got the spot right. So we'll move this, maybe like... We'll do another one right here. Hopefully it works. Move around a bit, and it's gonna load. Yeah, not too bad. So... that's pretty much it. This is where you're gonna see if you need to modify the file at all. Like I probably could have made the trees or the mangroves a little bit higher up so they're not so much into the water, but it's okay. Again, if there's a glitch with your file, I suggest you start over. Sometimes it's the smallest thing, like not linking textures in the right order, that messes you up. It'll be frustrating, trust me. Again, but don't give up because it's worth it when you get your first mod to work. Now, go rewatch this video again and have some fun. If this video helped you out, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share it too. I also have a donation link in my description if you want to support me. It does take a lot of time to do these things and a lot of time to prepare these tutorials, so I would really appreciate the help. I'm glad some of you guys have been enjoying these tutorials, and I can't wait to see the modding scene grow. Make sure you tag me in your photos and use hashtag ACNH mods. I'll see you guys on my Wednesday night streams at 7 p.m. PST. Bye.